coffee ever! I can't live here without driving. Wait, you guys can actually go to a doctor? For any Americans who have never visited Australia, the place sounds like a dream too good to be true. But there's too much stuff in Australia that Americans can only dream of having. So today, as an American who loves to travel to Australia, I want to read what Americans, including myself, believe Australia gets right, but America completely fails. And I also rate all of them from the tiniest to the ones you won't believe are even possible. But now let's get right into it. And the first one came from an American working in Australia, and he said, in Australia, bro, you don't have to beg for time off. When you're taking leave like 1 week vacation, I can just tell my boss that I'm planning to not come into work at that time. And it gets even crazier when not just other Americans, but Aussies in the comments also completely agree with what he had to say. What many American workers have to deal with just boggles me. No breaks, no sick leave, no healthcare, and retirement funding, and you can be fired for any reason. And you know what? That pretty much sums up the biggest difference between Australia and the US, as I almost couldn't believe when my Aussie friends told me how work is what you do to make a living and has nothing to do with what you are. But back in America, bro, your work is your identity and your entire life. That's why we have to pray to our boss, bend over backwards for them, dude. That was surprisingly painful to do, as not only do they control when can you take your time off, but also your access to healthcare and whether or not they can ruin you financially. Is it just me, but I feel like Aussies live like human beings with dignity, while Americans all live like, what's a delicate way to put this? Oh, like farm animals. I mean, we have pretty much given up on all the rights just so the big companies can do whatever they want with our lives. But that's not all, because the next one is actually funny. And it came from my Aussie friend traveling in America, and he said, what is up with the short doors in your public toilets? You can literally see inside. Is it too expensive to get longer doors? So in case any of you haven't traveled to America yet, because why would you at this point? There's a massive gap in the bathroom stall to the point you almost have no privacy. And some say it's due to lack of budget, others say it's to prevent people from living inside the bathroom. Yes, that's a thing in America. Gosh, what is wrong with this place? And not to mention that a lot of the American toilet bowls you come across would be filled to the brim with water to the point you can always suspect a massive splashback. But in Australia, bro, I can't believe how easy it is to find a public bathroom, especially if you're next to a beach or a tourist spot. And most toilets in Aussie shopping centers don't require a code to unlock. Let's be honest, bro. How many decades we have to wait until America can also be like that? Well, let's just hope we can all live to see that day. The same way you would smash the sub button if you want more videos like this one. Because the next thing Australia gets so right, boy oh boy, is that one not a lifesaver. And that is, I can't believe the price you see is exactly what you pay. Back home in America, sales tax is rarely included in the shown price. And the number is also different in every state. What can they just add it to the price? Bro, I was shocked beyond words when I took this $2 croissant to the checkout and the guy said, yep, that's $2. And I couldn't believe it. Like, what, you guys don't have to pay taxes in Australia or what? But no, turns out it's all included in the price, so you don't have to do crazy math calculations when deciding what you can and cannot afford. And please, Americans, if you're listening, we need to do some lobbying to make this happen, bro. As well as the next one, and that is, I can't believe the best coffee I had in America was only considered average in Australia. Yep, you Aussie fellas set the bar so high up, I'm almost ashamed to admit I used to enjoy Starbucks back home. It's strange to me that you don't hear them talking about God and religion as much in Australia, let alone preaching it in public. Now this one also took me by surprise when considering how many churches I came across in Australia. I would assume like half of the Aussie population would be crazy religious or something. But no, my Aussie friend says most people don't discuss that outside of their closest family and friends. And many Aussies I know were brought up being told that it's rude to ask people about their religious beliefs, let alone trying to preach their beliefs. If anything, I would be so surprised if any of my Aussie friends suddenly told me they're going to church. But now let's change it up a bit because I happened to come across a comment complaining about Australia and I just couldn't get over it. Like, you guys decide if he's being legit or not. And he says, I left my stable good paying job to move to Australia, believing it would give me something a bit better. But I barely got any reviews. And why is the cost of living so crazy? Guys, did they scam me for my visa money? Anyway, I totally regret coming here. Did you see why I had to put this one in there? Okay, so first off, the job market is a mess, I know. Even my Aussie friends have trouble finding jobs, unless you count retail and warehousing as a job. Bro, no offense to anyone working those, but bro, was it painful? Also, I want to point out that when it comes to moving anywhere, you need to check what kind of jobs are in high demand. For example, I heard Australia needs a lot of healthcare workers like nurses, etc. Wait, we also need that in America. Hey, to anyone listening who's a nurse, bro, come to America instead. We pay you less, you have no insurance, but please, America needs you. But I totally wouldn't blame you if you love Australia over America. Because gosh, that's exactly what I felt after traveling here for the first time. The next one is also a common one you hear about Australia, and that is, I think Australia is light years ahead of America when it comes to human safety. Sometimes it sure feels like America is still living in the Wild West with no laws whatsoever. Did you ever hear any Aussies saying how they're afraid to leave their house because of how crazy dangerous it is? Never. That's right, my man. Australia is so safe to the point that when I do forget to lock the door, I don't even bother going back to lock it. And my Aussie friend puts it even better, and he says, no offense, but America is third world when it comes to providing a safe environment for its people. Whoa, that's a sick bird, I have to say. And no worries, bro. No offense taken. I think the bar for America's safety is now so historically low that if your car doesn't instantly get broken into, my family and friends would literally call it safe. But this is the one I really want to talk about, and it came from an American traveling to Australia. But what he said was simply awesome to hear, and that is, I really miss Australia. My best friend in life is an Aussie, so when I got to see my friend in Australia, I genuinely believe it's better than America in pretty much every single way. Your cities were easily the best and the cleanest I've ever been to, along with your wildlife and national parks. As an American tourist, I want to thank Australia for existing. Wow, that is so lovely. See, guys, not all Americans live inside their own bubble. The ones who visited Australia, like myself, we do see the beauty that is the Aussie culture. And also, like, you ever noticed how everyone knows, like, Japan is super clean, but how come nobody on the internet praises how clean and well-designed Australia is on a daily basis? Like, you see more posts praising the American politicians than how awesome a hidden gem Australia is. What kind of upside-down society are we living in, bro? And the one thing in my mind that Australia always, without a single doubt, has it better than America would be walking through the bush and listening to the birds early in the morning. And yes, some of that sound pretty weird, but it's mostly enjoyable. But before you think to yourself, hey, maybe Americans ain't so bad after all. They actually say a lot of nice things. Then how about read to you in this video the worst comments I've ever seen from Americans about Australia. But a big warning to you, bro, it's really insane.